everybody. Welcome into the KXN Live studios. I'm Billy Gates, and I know Thursdays is typically time to talk about high school football here, but there's a little bit of UT news that we need to go over real quick. Arch Manning will get his first career start for the Texas Longhorns against the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks on Saturday. That game is at 7 p.m. right here in town at DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. And here to talk about that, along with some high school football stuff in a bit, is KXN Sports Director Roger Wallace. Now, Roger, this is something that we kind of saw coming down the pike ever since Ewers got hurt during the UTSA game. Arch Manning comes in, lights it up. I mean, we figured that he'd be good, but we also have to kind of temper our expectations a little bit. Like, this is still Quinn's team. However, it is nice for Manning to get his feet wet here for his first start of his career.
Yeah, it was interesting when Sark held his availability this morning at about 11, because we certainly expected this. But when you hear the coach say we're going with Arch, and then it hits social media, Arch Manning starting at Texas, and I guess sometimes you're so close to it, you lose a little perspective, and things kind of blow up when you turn on ESPN. And so, yeah, I mean, who wins in this? SEC Plus network.
Absolutely.
This is a stream game. This is not a game on cable or over the air or anything like that. So they're gonna line their pockets with some curiosity of Arch Manning. But yeah, no surprise. Maybe the biggest, I don't want to say surprise, but news that came out of it is the way Sark kind of alluded to the fact that Quinn has made pretty quick progress.
Right.
And didn't rule him out for Mississippi State next week with the opener. And now, Arch gets a week to be the starter. He kind of talked about how, well, sometimes that's a little more difficult than you would think because you have that time to think about it as opposed to, adrenaline and all that. But I think he'll be fine. I think they've got a supporting cast. It will help him be fine. And I think it will actually add a little juice into the stadium Saturday night against the ULM team that obviously Texas is heavily favored against.
Right, yeah, 44.5-point favorites is the line for the Longhorns. ULM, they're 2-0. They beat Jackson State and Alabama Birmingham, and they're led by a guy with probably the best name in college football, General Booty. Yes, if you remember John David Booty from the USC days, 10-ish years or so
Sark
ago.
Coached him.
Yeah, Sark coached him, yes.
Sark coached him.
Yeah, that is of the same family, and, I mean, why are you naming your kid General?
Well, he's an OU transfer. Went to Oklahoma first. Of course, his dad, John David Booty from Louisiana, went to USC. The Booty or his uncle rather, the Booty family is a pretty big name in the state of Louisiana. And, he's a guy that I'm sure they thought was what a great portal guy to get at a place like ULM.
Absolutely.
A Sun Belt program. So, I mean, they're going to come in a lot like UTSA, probably a little bit chippy. And see if they can rattle the Longhorns a little bit early on and try to get it into the second half. And, Texas going to go take care of their business. Probably as much of a story as Quinn as other guys. Not sure about the status of Jaden Blue, Trey Moore, Jelani McDonald. So, again, this is a team. It's so funny because he talks about depth from day one of training camp, and we're not a month in, and they have thinned out in a lot of places.
Yeah, I mean, and if the timing is right for any kind of injury, I guess now is the time, right? I mean, starting off SEC play next weekend, all indications said, or from Sarkisian anyway, if you kind of read between the lines through his presser today, that Ewers will be ready for the Mississippi State game. But, obviously we want to wait for like the steadfast confirmation from him next week. But from the sounds of it, sounds like Ewers will play. Mississippi State hasn't had the best season up to now. So maybe it is one of those things where Ewers comes in, they build up a big lead, and then the supporting cast takes over. But at the same time, still an SEC game, and that's still an SEC team with 85 scholarships available.
You're hoping Sark's not watching this right now, right? as you play the game out. But yeah, that's right. They've been struggling, and so that first SEC game is going to provide a lot of interest, and then you get the week off before Oklahoma. I thought another interesting thing that Sark said today about what he has talked to Quinn about is that everything you and we want are still out there. And he rattled off three pretty big things. Yeah. He said, we feel like we're a national championship type team, and we can still accomplish that. He feels like you can get to New York and be a Heisman finalist. mentioned that. And he mentioned a top 5 draft pick. You can accomplish that. Those are 3 pretty big things to hear out of a head coach in week 4 of the season. But I think that is exactly how he feels. And if one thing Sark is, he's honest. And he said this shouldn't derail Quinn from thinking about any of that and really be, a player that's missed time in both years. And he's got to be going, man, here we go again. So it probably is much for his confidence as anything else. This injury is a little different, Billy. It's a baseball injury that really bothers baseball players.
But it's awful. I've had an oblique strain before. It hurts.
There you go. It's a lot of it's tolerance.
Yeah.
If it's not structural, what can he withstand in the range of motion, things like that.
Sure.
So, Arch gets it Saturday. Coincidentally, a school from Louisiana, his home state.
Yeah.
And here we go, Longhorns' final game before they open SEC play.
Yep, 7 p.m. on the SEC Network Plus, whatever they call it now. Old friend Lo Galindo is going to be on the call, just like the old Longhorn Network days. So a little bit of familiarity there. So now we're moving over to high school, which is typically what we talk about Thursday. Tonight's KBVO Game of the Week features Bastrop at Crockett. Out there at Burger Stadium. And Roger, you're going to be out there calling the game with Keith and Noah. I mean, through your preparation, how are you seeing this game?
Well, Crockett's had a nice run under Derek Norton. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff game last year. Traditionally, this is a program that has never had great numbers. They've always kind of been on the short end of the stick when you just look at the roster. John Wall was there for over 2 decades and just did a great job. And one of the most positive coaches that we've ever dealt with in light of a lot of struggle seasons. And Derek Norton is just like that. He is so positive. And last year they kind of found lightning in a bottle in the Coleman family. Caleb Coleman or Dickey family. I'm sorry. Yeah. Caleb Dickey is the leftover, but unfortunately for Crockett, he's now at LBJ.
Yeah.
But his big brother Cameron is already contributing out of Texas Tech. So he had both of them. And Cameron Dickey was kind of a one-man wrecking crew on offense.
Yes.
So it's a struggle right now. Their numbers are down. They're very young. And Bastrop's kind of interesting because they're 1-2, but they are loaded with talent, Billy. I'm talking highly recruited talent led by a junior defensive end, Tiki Hola. Texas already has offered. He's visited twice, but they've got they got a sophomore quarterback that already has heard from some of the top programs in the nation in Weston Nielsen, and they've got a receiver DB, Ramons Adams, that's committed to the University of Washington. So there's a lot of talent on the field for the Bastrop Bears. They're only 1-2, so we'll see what happens. I mean, it's an uphill battle for Crockett, but it is a started district play, and so 7:30 at Burger Stadium over on KBVO.
Yep. And then our Friday KXAN.com live stream game of the week features Westlake coming off that loss to Humboldt Atascocita last week. They've got another tough one in
How about that?
Cibolo Steel, like back-to-back, just really, really tough games. Top 10 games even. I mean, Cibolo Steel moves up to number 9 in the Dave Campbell Texas football rankings. Westlake falls to 14. They fall 10 spots after the loss to Humboldt Atascocita. I mean, this has always been just sort of like a pretty great preseason Central Texas matchup between Westlake and Cibolo Steel.
Yeah, I don't know if you could find a better non-district game for a 6A. When you think about Prosper, which was a top 10 team, Atascocita, and now Steel on the road in the San Antonio area.
Sure, yeah.
So
down in Schertz, which that's kind of
Westlake will be ready for district play, and we know they'll be just fine in district play. So that should be fun to watch. I think the state will kind of be keeping an eye on that when you go from a 44-game win streak in the regular season. Now, could they possibly drop 2 in a row?
Yeah.
And hey, Lake Travis is happy just to be home. Cavaliers are home tomorrow night because they've been everywhere. Midland, Arlington.
They've put on the miles for sure this non-conference season, They get to play at Cavalier Stadium tomorrow against San Marcos, so we'll be keeping an eye on that one. And then you got some district play up in that 25 6A district with Round Rock McNeil. Both of those teams won their district opener last week, and that's always a good rivalry game in that district. Alrighty, well, hey, we're going to leave this one here. Just to recap real quick, Arch Manning is going to start for the Longhorns on Saturday. In case you already didn't know, now you know. In case you haven't heard it, from social media or somewhere. But anyway, Arch Manning will start Saturday, 7 p.m. against the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. They're at DKR. You can catch it on SEC Network Plus, and then or you can catch catch any recaps of the games from us at KXAN.com.
And don't forget
online.
Texas Game Day tomorrow at 6 o'clock on
6
KBVO.
o'clock, yes, an hour before kickoff.
Yep.
Texas Game Day there on KBVO. Alrighty, well, for Roger Wallace, I'm Billy Gates. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you again very soon.